wish to be included therein. We are here today to formally approve a committee resolution issuing regulations requiring members, officers, employees, including interns, fellows, and detailees of the House of Representatives to complete a training program on workforce rights and responsibilities, including anti-discrimination and anti-harassment training during each congressional session. This resolution will also serve to issue regulations requiring each House employing office post a statement of rights and protections provided to House employees under the Congressional Accountability Act of 1995. Let me first say thanks to Speaker Paul Ryan for his attention and commitment to this issue. I would also like to thank Representative Barbara Comstock, who is a member of this committee, and Representative Spear for their work on this resolution and this issue. Finally, I want to thank the ranking member, Mr. Brady, for his commitment to work on this issue in a strongly bipartisan way. I also would like to thank Bradley Byrne for his work and serving as an ex officio member on this committee, and also Susan Brooks, Chairman of Ethics. All of us working together are prepared to move forward with this. And as I have said throughout this committee's comprehensive review, there is simply no place for sexual harassment in our society, and especially in Congress. One case of sexual harassment is one case too many. I believe as members of Congress, we must hold ourselves to a higher standard, a standard that demonstrates that we're worthy of the trust placed in us by our constituents and the American people. No one should ever fear physical or psychological harm in any workplace, and we must ensure that the appropriate standards and rules apply to the congressional workplace to promote a safe and productive environment. There is really no place like the House of Representatives. It's a special place, and we want it to be such for anyone who works here. And the first step to ensuring a safe congressional workplace is requiring mandatory training and education for all members, officers, employees, including interns, fellows, and detailees of the House of Representatives, as well as a posting of rights and protections. HRES 630, these regulations that we're approving today, will accomplish that goal. I would now like to recognize the ranking member, Mr. Brady, for the purpose of providing an opening statement if he wishes.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Mr. Chairman, I am pleased to support the regulations before the committee. As I said before, training is an important step, but it is just the first step. There's more to do. I know our staff is working hard on bipartisan legislation to change the Congressional Accountability Act. Of course, none of these discussions would be possible if it wasn't for not the leadership of my colleague from California, Jackie Spear, who has been talking about these changes for years. And this truly has been a bipartisan effort. I know we are working with Representative Byrne from Alabama in developing the legislation, and I thank him as well. I hope we can consider the bipartisan proposal in early 2018 so that we can continue to make progress on changing the resolution process and the culture of our congressional workplace. Mr. Chairman, thank you again, and I yield back the balance of my time.
Thank you, Mr. Brady. Gentleman yields back. Any other member wish to be recognized for the purposes of an opening statement? Now recognize the gentleman from Maryland.
Mr. Chairman, thank you very much, and Mr. Brady, thank you also for your leadership and for giving me this opportunity to speak as we adopt regulations to require annual anti-sexual harassment and discrimination training in Congress for both members and staff. As the representatives of the people, we have a unique obligation to lead by establishing a culture of zero tolerance for this egregious form of discrimination. Although the Speech and Debate Clause provides members with broad immunity for legislative acts under the Constitution, it can never be interpreted as a license to harass or discriminate against our employees. We are not above the law, and it's important for members and employees alike to understand our individual rights and responsibilities for the promotion of a healthy workplace environment. I am pleased that the regulations include the advice of outside experts who have highlighted the importance of in-person customized training with specific workplace examples to better foster a culture that rejects sexual harassment and discrimination. Though I can understand that certain district offices may have difficulty obtaining in-person training for their employees in a timely fashion, necessitating a limited exemption for employees whose duty station is not in D.C., it is my hope that the vast majority of members will adhere to the spirit of these new requirements and seek out in-person interactive training for all employees, regardless of whether they work for us in Washington or in our district offices. This is an important start, but mandating annual sexual harassment training is not sufficient. We must continue to examine and reform the dispute resolution processes and ensure that we build a system that promotes accountability, supports victims, and does not exacerbate existing power disparities among members, supervisors, and staff. I'm eager to continue working with my colleagues on the committee, as well as Representative Speer, whose Me Too Congress Act has offered a perfect starting point for crafting more important, comprehensive reform legislation. I'm confident that we can continue to work together in a continuing bipartisan way, Mr. Chairman. I thank you for your leadership and hope that we will indeed create model rules for the best workplaces in America. Thank you.
Gentleman yields back. The chair will now recognize the gentlelady from Virginia, Ms. Comstock, for the purpose of an opening statement.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I just wanted to thank you for the swiftness with which the committee has worked on these guidelines, and the staff and all the work they've put into this. And having the climate survey included here also, I think, is important because it's something we've talked about in a lot of the hearings that will help us assess the best way to do our training going forward. So I think it's important that we understand that this process will be adaptive and we'll be able to incorporate all kinds of good ideas that we get going forward. But I appreciate that we're putting this in place quickly now, and thank you.
Gentlelady yields back. I now call up and lay before the committee the resolution issuing regulations pursuant to H.Res. 630. Without objection, the first reading of the resolution is dispensed with, and the resolution is considered read and open for amendment at any point. Is there any debate? Are there any members who want to offer an amendment to the resolution? If not, I move the committee to adopt the resolution. The question is on the motion. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, say nay. In the opinion of the chair, the ayes have it, and the motion is agreed to. Without objection, the motion to reconsider is laid upon the table. For all the matters considered here today, I would ask unanimous consent that the staff be authorized to make technical and conforming changes if necessary. Without objection, so ordered. Without objection, the markup is adjourned.